Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool. From her she shed in her beautiful backyard, this is the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. Happy Monday after Thanksgiving. Okay, you know what I did on Thanksgiving? Well, nothing. I did nothing. After we ate, we had like I'm an early lunch eater because I don't really always eat breakfast, which come to find out is a good thing. You know, all these years we've been told, oh, you got to get up, the most important meal of the day. Yeah, not so. And so, which kind of makes sense because my husband and I have always skipped breakfast. Never been breakfast eaters. We've always been thin. It just kind of makes sense. It's like, okay, a lot of why I've always skipped breakfast is I always felt hungry all day after I would eat breakfast. It's kind of weird. You'd think it'd be the opposite. But anyways, and so Thursday after Thanksgiving, I didn't do anything. I put my pajamas on. I didn't do anything. What y'all do? I was like, I enjoyed just doing nothing. Okay. I do want to tell you, so it's Monday and Mark Taylor is not with us today. Many of you know, and we have talked about this before, that his father has cancer. His father is doing horribly. And so I think the best that we can do at this point is be praying for Mark and his family and his father. And so we just pray that his father has a speedy recovery and that things go well as can possibly be. And so just want to give you that heads up to please keep Mark and his family in your prayers. He definitely could use them right now. So did want to share that. I think we'll see when he's back. We're going to give him some time because obviously this is an ordeal for him and his sister and his family. So we're praying for them, and I ask that you uplift them and keep them in your prayers as well. I also want to let you know, of course, Wave Watch creator Linda Bammer is with us today. And tomorrow, I want to make sure you know that the founder of Jace Medical, which is Dr. Sean, he's going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be going through a number of things. I want to also let you know that if you have some medical questions for him, he might be willing to answer a few, but I am going to work on having Dr. Margaret come back, and because she definitely is up for answering questions. And I have some questions for her that I've gotten over the weekend. And so I'm going to reach out to her and see about her being back on the show soon so we can go through some, I think, like fact or myth. You know, there's so many things we've been told that aren't necessarily true. So I'd like to talk with her and be like, is this true? What about this? What about that? How about this? And so I think that would be a really good show to just kind of have her weigh in on some things that may or may not be true and see what she has to say. So, okay, for those of you that have a Wave Watch, this is going to be a great show for you. For those of you that don't have one, this is going to be a great show for you because maybe you don't know what all the Wave Watch does for you or could do potentially. And so it's got over 1,000 frequencies. It's amazing. I have mine on. I wear mine all the time. Producer Ron does too. He's really good at wearing it all the time. But anyways, before we bring in Linda Bammer, though, I'd like to go on ahead, and I've got this video that I've pulled for you, and it talks about frequencies. So people don't necessarily understand. In fact, I was just talking about this last week with my assistant and our distribution manager about how even our clothing have frequencies to them. And so, and the Bible talks about clothing and which things you should or shouldn't wear. And so let's take a look at this video on frequency.
And this is part of the physics, quantum physics. Everything is vibration. You put out a good vibration, the only thing that responds to a good vibration is a good vibration. Bad vibrations are on a different frequency. They don't mix each other. You put out a vibration, you're going to get back what that vibration is. It's called resonance.
Okay, resonance. Now, I think that it's amazing to me, like when we listen to sometimes to like a video of church bells or we listen to certain frequencies, it is incredible to me how you would think that they would be sounds that would just kind of like be nails on a chalkboard, but they're not. And so that's what I absolutely know that this is true anyways, because first of all, we're frequency beings. That's why we're to ground. That makes sense. And then, today, Linda and I'll be getting into a number of things about all of this, but I just find it absolutely riveting. And when you look at a lot of historical things as well, we end up seeing things that confirm what we're hearing. And so I just find it all very interesting. I had my own miraculous healing. I had the watch on for about 6 minutes and 15 seconds, and I had a miraculous healing. So I'm a believer from the beginning, just about. I had no idea about, I knew about frequency healing. I knew about Tesla. I knew about all that, but I did not know what to really kind of expect. And then I had my own amazing experience. Many of you know what that is, and I'll share that later. But I also want to say hi to YouTube viewers. We're back. We got in trouble the last time Dr. Margaret was on. They took down the video, the show that we did that day. It was on a Tuesday, so 2 weeks ago. So you know how that goes. We have a doctor on. She's telling the truth. And they took the video down and they grounded us. I call it grounded. They suspended us for a week. I feel like I'm, like 10 being grounded. And so I always call it being grounded. But anyways, we were suspended. And so if you can't find us on YouTube, it's usually because we're in trouble again. And so, I'd love to say we have free speech here, but we don't. We don't always. It's unbelievable. But anyways, well, let's go on ahead and bring Linda Bammer in. She is an amazing woman. She created the Wave Watch. Hi, Linda. How are you doing, honey?
Hello there. So nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. Okay, so I told Linda right before we went live, I said, Linda, I want you to pay attention to this song because producer Ron found it, and he said that it reminded him of me, obviously, because I always talk about God stories, and I'm in a book that's called God Stories. But I said, and I do a podcast called God Stories, but I said the video also, the song reminds me of you because I know just your story and everything of coming up with the Wave Watch. And so if you would please share with everybody, how did the idea come about to do the Wave Watch, which is amazing?
Well, I've already got a few little tears in my eyes because you mentioned that story, or that song was made you think of me. So there are lots of similarities between us, I appreciate you having me on and letting me tell my story. Basically, the simplest way to say is that I was born deaf in one ear, completely deaf. And they did not find that handicap because it really wasn't a handicap, until I was in 3rd grade. So somehow I'd figured out how to manipulate through life and kind of hide it from people. And they didn't figure out, but they did know that I kind of put my hands on their shoulders and looked at people's faces. And I was always in the front row in school, that kind of thing. I just learned to do that naturally. So life progressed. Once they got it diagnosed, they couldn't do anything with it. I was just missing a part. And so, I kept going and learned to play some instruments in high school, saxophone and trombone and things like that, clarinet. But then when I got into college, I started to play drums. And that seemed to be a tone that I was missing in my life. I don't know what it was, but the drumming just really spoke to me. And I continued to play drums in a band, a country band. I can say that, Nashville. That sounds good, doesn't it? Country band for 35 years. But it wasn't until, way later that I realized that there must have been a connection, because sound is the first sense that we have in the womb. And they say it actually sounds like a drum corps. So I evidently didn't have that drum corps. So maybe I needed it a little bit more. I don't know. That's just my version of thinking, hey, maybe that's why I like the drumming. But the rest of my story is that both my mother and sister were diagnosed with breast cancer about 6 months apart. And at that time, I was a teacher. My doctors actually just told me I should have a double mastectomy and forget about it, go on with my life, even though they hadn't tested me. I didn't have anything wrong. They just knew I had a lump once in a while. And so they just said, oh, do it, be done with it. And I'm always saying, I know I was thinking some really bad things in my mind, trying to look at that doctor straight in the face and say, no, I don't think I'll do that, So as a teacher, I just thought I could do something better. So I finished my teaching career, and I got an ND certification and started teaching women about breast health. And you can see all the pink things behind me. This is part of my office. So I have a business called BRAS, Breast Research, Awareness, and Support. And so for almost 18 years now, I've taught women how to protect their breast health. But early on, after working with thousands of women, it got so overwhelming. There were so many things I could suggest to them. And I like supplements, but I don't like lots and lots of supplements, and I had exercises and things that they can do. And it really got kind of overwhelming because there were so many ways and reasons that women were having trouble with their breasts, and we were not being taught any of it. It was just go get a pill or go get your breast, have a mastectomy and forget about it, when there were so many things that we could naturally do. But I got overwhelmed. And one day I just looked up very casually and said, God, tell me what to do. And it was just, the answer, it's frequency, So I started doing research, and there was a frequency for every single problem that the women had that I could see. And I can list those if you want me to,
Yes, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Women could have breast cancer from E. coli. They could have breast cancer from Epstein-Barr virus. Their emotions can cause breast problems, not always breast cancer, Also, I've had a woman that came in that was bit by a horse, and she had this wound, and the list is endless. There's 8 teeth, 2 up and 2 down on our back area that can drain down into our breasts. And I found frequencies for every single one of these ideas, plus more. So the list goes on and on. There is a frequency for everything. They measured these frequencies. They actually measured them over 100 years ago. And Nikola Tesla started that. And then that job was, a little bit taken over more by somebody named Dr. Royal Rife, R-I-F-E, if you have not heard of him. And you can look up all the work that he did. But for some reason, I don't know exactly how much to say, those frequencies were banned by the American, the AM.
Military.
Yeah, just the American Medical Association banned frequencies, saying that they were negative. Well, there's a whole reason why. We all know the word, and we know the color. It connects with green, and because frequencies were so simplistic, and they can work with so many things, and you don't have to take them over and over again. So there's a lot more information about that, but they were banned. And so that's why we don't know about them. So in my opinion, we're 100 years behind using natural frequencies.
Isn't that amazing? Well, and then we say we're behind, but yet there's proof and evidence that it looks like there were some things that we probably now don't know about. And that's what we were talking about earlier, is what do we not know when it comes to like the buildings. I've shown videos before. This has been a minute, at least a year or so since I've shown some of these videos on cymatics and about the church buildings and how you've got the windows, the stained glass windows. A lot of times they'll be stained glass and they'll show a pattern. And really what that does is supposedly show what kind of healing would take place in that building, in that church building. And so it's just absolutely amazing what we're learning. And of course, you have the organs that are played in the building as well. And so, and of course, those sounds, those frequencies heal and impact the organs in our body. So it's just so amazing when you really start digging. And like you said, what do we not know? So let's take a look at that image, Producer Ron. So we have this one where it shows the window of a church and big church building, and it's just incredible. Let's see here. So look at that building, and you see the decoration there of the pattern of that window. And that's supposed to be telling what all kind of frequency is played in that building and would provide that healing. Now, you had a cymatics image that you wanted to show today. So let's take a look at that real quick, Producer Ron. Yeah. So explain this, would you?
So they have actually been able to visualize now, show us visually what a sound looks like. So I made this in a really light color because this is kind of floating through the air. We're just sitting here and all of these vibrations are moving through the air. And we see them, vibrating up and down like this. But if you were to cut them, like the end of a piece of thread, and you look at the end of it, this is the image of what that sound would look like. And we can see that our ancient cultures knew that, because these are very similar to the images in the windows that they put in tiles that they had. Many places have images like this. So these sounds are all over, and they're going through and can change us and interact with us. So
It's amazing.
I think maybe the next picture kind of shows how it can interact with us. Is that the one from Stanford Med? Yes.
Yes.
And so here's our scientific duplication finally, because we've been making fun of sounds really for years. The ancient shamans that chanted and hummed and, drums and anything like that was really kind of woo-woo, quote unquote. But now they're taking a step backwards because we are having proof. So Stanford Med actually did this research showing acoustics that can manipulate heart cells. So each one of those squares is a different heart cell, and they actually tuned it with a different frequency. And these were acoustical frequencies in the sound of our voice. So from 20 to 20,000. It wasn't ultrasound or low ultrasound. It was acoustical frequencies. So doesn't this kind of look like what we were showing you with the cymatics, and with the church windows? It's the same type of thing. So we know that every cell in our body can be tuned or changed or realigned, or whatever word you'd like to put with it, with a frequency.
Well, talking about historically speaking as well, you shared another image I thought was interesting. You said, I always like to say that the big square wave watch was the first wave watch ever created. But come to find out, there's some other images that you have found. Let's take a look here.
Somebody actually sent me this one, and I am just, I just drool over it, I guess, because these are from Sumeria, if I am getting, my archaeology right. And if you look at these statues closely, you'll see that they have a round watch on, or it looks like what we would call a watch. And especially on this one down in the lower corner, you can see that it's round, looks almost exactly like this. And each one of these statues has a watch-like apparatus on. Now, what they were using them for, we don't know. But we didn't even think that they could tell time. It just got, except on a big dial and, some different ways. But they had wearable technology of some kind. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah, it is very interesting. I love the God story too, by the way, just saying, God, what do I do? That's just amazing, Linda. And so it's so good. It's just so good.
You just have to listen, so I got to work.
That's right. And usually that's what it entails. It's a lot of work. I know that from Godly Granny.
And it was right during COVID. And it was when I turned 65 years old. So that was a fun stage to do that and get it developed.
Oh, my word. Okay. So I asked Linda today to come up with some things that just share some ideas as to, things that the Wave Watch can help you with that maybe you haven't thought of or that you didn't know. There's just so many options, so many things that and ways that it helps. And so I wanted to have her on today and share some ideas. And I know you like to call them ideas. And so I thought this would be good. So she's got 8 things. And so why don't we go on ahead, and I'm going to go over a few things too after your list. I don't want to, encroach on your list. So let's talk about the 8 things that your Wave Watch can help people with that maybe they don't even realize. So what's number 1?
So I think the most important thing is to play inflammation, pain, and trauma. Now, we did have some work done with by the FDA, and they would like us to, be a little bit more generic so that we can continue to be a general wellness product. And so that idea that you may be very familiar with if you have the Square Watch, has been renamed Wave Relief. So we had to do a little bit of naming, but I think people can catch on to it once they hear it just a little bit. So wave relief is one of the most important frequencies because they know that everything is about inflammation. That is a big medical word now, is inflammation. So important for us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And one of the things too, I don't know that a lot of people know or realize is that inflammation can cause so many issues in the body.
Mhm.
A lot of times people don't realize that. And
Yes.
so it's a big deal. And by the way, eating a lot of sugar, like white sugar, sweets,
All of
candy.
these things cause inflammation. And so we've just finished Thanksgiving. So one of the easiest things to play is wave relief because you've probably given your body a lot of inflammation. So I had to kind of think through some ideas and simplify it a little bit, per the FDA ideas. And so I relabeled things and I called them first wave. So when you get your booklet, you will see an area that says first wave. Now you're going to, you may say to yourself, but why is it important? It doesn't make sense to me, but this is what I have learned through working with people and through working with a Wave Watch is the most important ideas. Sometimes people have so many aches and pains and they may not realize what is behind the scene because we have not been taught that. So the next thing I suggest that you play on the Wave Watch is Lyme disease, and we named it Lyme Wave, basically. And so all you have to do is touch a button and it will play through everything that we have covered for Lyme disease. Now, this is so important because people don't realize that you could fly on an airplane, and if your immune system is messed up, you can get off the airplane with Lyme disease. You don't have to be bit by a tick anymore. It's contagious, and they are not telling us that. So whole families, one person in the family actually might get bit by a tick, and then within a short period of time, everybody in the family has it. And there are 300 known diseases that are connected with Lyme disease. But people will go around, sometimes 10. I had a lady in here 25 years. She had been sick, finally diagnosed with Lyme disease. So it's very hard for them to diagnose. They're not going to tell you about it. They're going to put you on antibiotics. So a prevention would be to just play it. So when I'm on an airplane, I play that, or I might play colds and flu, but Lyme disease is so important because, again, it is contagious. And again, they haven't told us that Lyme disease was, quote unquote, discovered in Lyme, Connecticut, where there is a germ warfare lab. And there's a whole book written about it, So people say, oh, it couldn't be, that's in Lyme, Connecticut. There's no way it could get to Kansas City. Oh, yes, it's moved across. Everybody has it, and everybody is prone to getting it. So play that. And that's why I play that once a week. It's very, very important.
Okay. All right. So that was the second one. So the third thing that somebody watching may not realize that has a Wave Watch, that how the Wave Watch could help. So what's the third idea that you have?
We have labeled it Parawave, short for parasites. Now, again, we haven't been taught about parasites. Why not? Well, they don't have a lot of medications for parasites. Believe it or not, I had to learn this, and I'm still thinking, oh, I hope I'm saying this correctly. But I just looked it up again the other day, and there's 6 million kinds of parasites. I'm going, what? A million, but 6 million kinds of parasites, if I can believe the internet, and the research that I've done. Whatever the number, it's overloaded, and everybody has parasites. At least it's a 50-50 chance that you do not have a parasite. But if you've gone barefooted on the beach, if you've petted an animal, if you've cleaned food out of the garden, you could have that parasite. It really doesn't make any difference. And parasites can stay in your bodies for up to 20 years. They can be unbelievably big, more than you'd ever think. And people will still say, oh, but that's for third world countries. We don't have parasites in America. No, I'm sorry, but we are silly enough. We go around the world and we pick up the world's parasites and we bring them back to us, and we do nothing about them. Usually people in other countries at least have an herbal, or they know what they're doing, a little bit with their natural work, and have something for parasites, where we do nothing. We take better care of our animals. We, room our dogs once a month usually, because we are worried about them, but we're not doing the same for us. So Hulda Clark connected parasites back in the 1980s with MS, with almost everything you can think of today. There is a connection with parasites. It is huge. And again, they haven't told us about it. So that's why you ought to be playing that, because you're continually exposed to different kinds of parasites. I mean, my dog sits in my lap, what do I think? So I'm going to have parasites once in a while. So I can also use the Wave Watch for my dog. So I have a square one that I still use, and set it on parasites to loop all night long, and it just sits on top of his kennel. So he's getting something. He doesn't have to wear it because he can hear it. And so those frequencies are working on him. And, I wear a watch if I want for parasites, do it once a week. So it is huge that we have missed this. And it's really sad that they haven't taught us how to take care of ourselves for parasites.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say, though, I want to believe that it's getting a little bit more, I don't want to say mainstream necessarily, but a little bit more common knowledge for most people. I don't want to say most, because I don't think that's the case, but for many people. And
people
so
who listen to your channel, Michelle, and channels like this will know about parasites.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're talking about 8 things that your Wave Watch can help you with that you may or may not have realized. And so what's the next one, Linda?
Well, I think we're doing one called Wave Defense. And that basically I had named pathogens and on the older watch. But again, I had to be a little bit more careful in my phrasing. And so these are pathogens that are known to be connected with cancer. Okay. Now, I can't list all of them out individually for that general wellness protection, but we do have something called a frequency finder. And if you want to know where E. coli is on the watch, you can just go to the website, find the frequency finder under support, and type in the word, where's E. coli? And it'll tell you it's in the pathogen folder, or in the Wave Defense folder. So I play that. There's about 25 different ideas for protection from that big C word that we're always worried about all the time, and that so many of us have. Now, E. coli is a good one. There's several parasites there. There's Epstein-Barr virus. There's several generic codes for that C word. There's codes for tumors, and the list goes on and on. But again, they're all together so that you don't have to look for them. You just press a button and play through them. Now, can I give a testimony of my own at this point in time? Yeah. So when I was developing this folder, I was walking through my house, and all of a sudden I felt just like a stabbing sensation in my finger right through here. And it's like, and I was able to figure out that it was playing the Epstein-Barr virus at that point in time. And I literally was, just for about 8 seconds. I mean, it did hurt. I'm not going to say it didn't, but it was 8 seconds. And I'm going, oh my goodness, what is that? What does that mean? What's that mean? I didn't know when I went to bed. It's just like, well, I'll just keep that in mind. But I obviously didn't want to have Epstein-Barr in my system, because it is connected with breast cancer and a lot of different things. But for me, when I woke up the next morning, all my arthritis was gone that was in this area here. I had had arthritis for a couple of years, and it was gone completely. And I haven't had it since then. Now, if my fingers get a little stiff, I'll just play Epstein-Barr virus, which, again, and the stiffness seems to go away. So if you look that up, you'll find out that Epstein-Barr is connected with arthritis. Who would have known, So that's why you want to play a variety of things. I would not have known that I could clean up my arthritis problem a little bit just by going through this folder. So these folders that I'm telling you about have the most overall clean out ability and working at different angles that you may never think of, And
I always say, don't play it just once, like put it on a loop, do it many times. I've absolutely loved that. Becky Lee says, does it help with tooth pain? My husband has sensitive teeth.
Definitely. So there's a complete folder that's labeled pain. And in that pain folder, you would be able to find dental health and gum health. And
Okay.
on a loop.
Christ Believer says that the Wave Watch is awesome. It has helped with my tachycardia. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Neuropathy. Yeah, tachycardia, neuropathy, muscle cramps, muscle pain, and much more. Christ Believer, girl, you've been through it this year, honey.
Wow.
Justice 311 says, wow, a doctor out here in the Reno, Nevada area hooks people up to IVs, charging thousands of dollars for Lyme, and his place is just filled up. People need to know this. Wow. I didn't know that people charge thousands of dollars to be hooked up to an IV. What's he got in there, like gold or something? Justice 311. I know about like the IV vitamins and things like that, but for Lyme, what is he putting in there? That doesn't even, I can't imagine what that would be unless it's I don't even know if it would be like an antibiotic or what that would be, but what would cost thousands of dollars?
Wow.
So you'll have to tell us, Justice 11, find out what's in it. Okay, so let's keep going. So we're talking about 8 things that will help you, or ways that your Wave Watch could help you that you may not have even realized. What's the next one, Linda?
The next one is a detox category, Wave Detox. Now, we were able to put it in 3 distinct areas. So you can detox chemicals. Gee, we need that, don't we? But, it's an easy way to do it, especially when you're traveling. That's the neat part about the Wave Watch. You could be exposed to something somewhere and you've got something right on your wrist that you can start to work on it. You don't have to have a supplement right there. It's hard to travel with sometimes all the supplements that you might have. So you've got a tool right there for detoxification for all kinds of chemicals. So we're talking about glyphosate. I actually was able to add that in. I didn't have it on the square the very beginning when I first started developing it. I hadn't found that, but we've added frequencies for glyphosate, and that was a very big thing to be able to do that, because that's one of the chemicals that bothers your pineal gland the most is the glyphosate. And so all kinds of chemicals are in there, and you don't want to just pick out one because they are semi-related, so you want to play the whole folder and loop it if you can do that. And then the next area is environmental support. And those are frequencies for breaking down and protecting you from radiation, from EMFs, from everything that we think of in our environment that is negative on the EMF side. So those are really important ones to do. Very, very important.
Yeah. I just want to point out too, that some of these are like an ongoing thing. I really like to put mine on the detox frequencies. I have built a folder that has some specific, I have my own watch. My husband has his own, because that didn't last long as sharing one. That just wasn't going to work. And so, but I built my own folders, and I like my detox folder where I've put just anything and everything in it that has to do with detoxes. Now, as you know, I've shared with you many times that I like to do my detox folder at night while I'm sleeping. And so this is something, though, that you need to consistently kind of do, or I say regularly, consistently, not every night, but regularly. Now, little Debbie 55 says, is there anywhere to help people with lower their blood pressure?
Yes. And that's in the chronic folder. So we have different categories, and in the folder, it does say blood pressure, and I was trying to think of the exact phrasing of it. So metabolic health, immune support. Yes, right in that area there. And again, if you don't know exactly, on the new watches, you can ask the frequency finder, and it will tell you the difference
on
the website.
Okay, so I want to remind everybody, and talk about this. So let's talk about the Wave Watch and what you have going on. Obviously, today is Cyber Monday. So let's talk about the Wave Watch. They sold out of the 2.0s. But the 2.2s are coming. The 2.2s haven't arrived yet. They're what are they, about 3 to 4 weeks out, Linda?
No, they should be arriving anytime, but they've already sold out. They have sold out.
Okay. Yeah. So you have some limited edition ones that are lavender.
Yes.
That are the 2.0. Now, what's the difference between the 2.0 and the 2.2? Because the lavender's 2.0, and we want to make sure people realize what the difference is between the two before they make a decision.
The 2.0 lavender color is very unique. And, you have to be a special person if that's a color that you want. And then it has more, the 2.2, which we have sold out of, has a few more frequencies on it. The main folder is for energy and mitochondria health. That would be the one that's the most important, I think. And so you're missing just a few frequencies that we were able to add, but not very many. This is what I've had on the Wave Watch for the last 5 years. So you are getting, 99.99% of the frequencies. I've just added a few more. It's all for dealing with energy a little bit more.
Okay. When you say purple or lavender, do you have one that you could show? And so let's see what this looks like. So this is the 2.0 lavender, and you got about 150 of them.
Yes.
And you can put in Michelle 100, and this gives you 25% off. It's a limited edition, the lavender. It was something that actually wasn't intended to happen, and it did.
Right.
And so, but that is pretty. I got to say, that's pretty. And it's pretty with the gray. By the way, the wristband, the gray wristband, I love this wristband. It's super soft. I love the way things feel, and I touch things, and I always got to touch something. And so I love the way that these wristbands are. That was a total winner. Okay, Linda.
We changed that. Yeah. And then we also have the Velcro black wristbands if you want. They're included with every order. So you can have that. And you can also order, maybe if you want a brighter, flashier lavender wristband, you can, order one very easily online also if you want to see your own color. But they do come with that. And so we just thought that would be kind of fun. We were not sure what to do with them on that color when we ordered them, and then we're going, will anybody like this? But the ladies who work for me in my office actually love it, I guess. They're going, oh, I like that color. So
yeah, it's pretty. So lavender, I love lavender. So 25% off if you go to the website. You can go to wavewatch.com/Michelle Moore. And producer Ron's got it all written out down here in the lower third. So you wavewatch.com/Michelle Moore. Use the discount code Michelle100. And at checkout for the 25% off of the Lavender 2.0 limited edition Wave Watch. And also, if you want to pre-order the 2.0, you get 15% off, which is over $100. It's $104.55 if you do the pre-order of the 2.2. So you got two different options. You get a little bit more off if you decide to do the lavender, so the 2.0 lavender. So you get 25% off of that. But anyways, also, if you use Michelle 100, it gives you also 15% off site-wide. So if you're buying some other little goodies on there, you'll be able to get 15% off your goodies as well. I wanted to share a couple of things about the Wave Watch myself. So my husband had been having back problems. We used the Wave Watch. This was the first time. I had just charged it. I had just met Linda at an event that I did not want to be at, but the Holy Spirit just kept telling me to go. And I was not very happy about being there at all. Producer Ron and I were there. And I didn't want to have anything to do with any of it. And so, but I was there, and I ended up meeting Linda. Linda comes up to me and introduces herself, and she starts talking. I go, wait a minute now. So how does this work? And I said, because if you're talking about frequency healing, I understand frequency healing. Like, I know about this. And so she was explaining, what she had created, and I was all about it and thought, well, this is amazing. And so anyways, long story short, we were going to have her on I think it was a Tuesday, and Monday night, the night before, my husband, like I said, I'd taken the Wave Watch, charged it. My husband was having back problems. So being the good wife that I am, I let him use it first. And so we put it on backache or back pain, whatever it was. And he used it for a little while, and then he took it off, and I got to use it. And I looked down, and I think I saw adrenals. I think that's it was adrenals. And so because, back pain, adrenals, they were kind of right there. So I looked down, and it was just on the screen, and I thought, there's so many frequencies, even back then on the 1.0. And this is the 1.0 watch. Mm-hmm. So, it just does so much. And so I thought, oh my goodness, when my son Carson had an accident, for those that are watching that don't know, he was 10. And when he was 10, he accidentally shot himself with a 12-gauge shotgun in our bedroom. And it was such a traumatic event for me and all of that. I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. And since then, I had not been sleeping. The most I would sleep was about 3 hours a night on a good night. And this had been going on for years. It took out my adrenals, which then also affected my thyroid. I've always been told that the thyroid is kind of a secondary thing, that if you have problems with your thyroid, it's an indication there's usually something else wrong first that causes the thyroid also. So it's my understanding it took out the trauma and everything took out my thyroid, my adrenals, which then also affected my thyroid and threw me into early menopause. I was 40 years old or 43. I was 43 at the time. So the trauma and everything, the repeated trauma, it was repeated trauma. So, so I had not been sleeping, and this had been for years. And you know what it's like when those of you that know what it's like when you haven't been sleeping, right? You know, when you hadn't been sleeping. And so for years, especially. And so I put it on. I'm going through my emails and doing some work. It's about 10:30 at night, but I'm laying still, and I'm so thankful this was a situation. So I'm laying still. It's not like I'm moving around. And, I didn't know if I was going to feel anything. I just put it on and, okay, well, we'll just let this play through adrenals and whatever that looks like. And so I'm working, and about 6 minutes and 15 seconds into wearing it, all of a sudden, the best I know how to explain is that I felt stress pull forward, like in my midsection, around my belly button, stomach area, abdominal, all that area. And I remember feeling stress like pull forward and up out of my body through the front of my body, just pulled out and left my body. And ever since then, I'm sleeping like a baby, y'all. I sleep so well. And so then the next day, we have Linda on, and I mention it. And what did you say about the adrenals and the role the adrenals have?
Seems like it's the fight or flight. I think that's
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
what
a lot of it. And of
up.
course, that's going to affect your sleep. It's going to impact that. And I got to tell you, I slept great last night. So anyways, so I sleep great, and I feel like a new person ever since. And it's been almost 3 years. And so in February, so it happened, I think it was either January 31st. I think it was January 31st, and you were on February 1st. And so, but it changed my life. That's all I can say. And after that, I have been a big Wave Watch user. And producer Ron, I've seen it work for him. Okay, so for producer Ron, I've seen it work on his Charlie horses. And so where he was getting Charlie horses, which is an indication that you are lacking magnesium. So we didn't know this at the time, but he was having all of these muscle cramps in his legs, and they were so painful for him. And he's like, Michelle, as soon as I started getting one, I got my Wave Watch up, and I was going through the frequencies, and within 15 seconds, it was gone. And so he was telling me how it was helping him. And so we were just comparing things constantly. And, okay, have you used it for this? What about that? And so in between my husband and the kids and me and producer Ron, so it was amazing to see. And then I have the luxury, of course, of getting video testimonials and written testimonials from viewers who were getting the Wave Watch and were sharing their stories as well. I'll never forget the lady. Do you remember the testimony where she talked about how her knee looked like it was she said it was so swollen she couldn't even walk hardly, and without a cane. And she said she struggled to just even walk across the room. She had fallen asleep on her back. She had put the Wave Watch on her chest, and she just fell asleep. Put it on there, slept like that all night, woke up, and she said her knee looked like a deflated balloon, and she was skipping. Skipping, not walking, skipping. This was the same lady the day before and forever before, that she'd been for quite a while having problems with even walking. And so she described skipping and said she could not believe it. But her knee, I guess, to me, it just sounded like swelling and inflammation. And so I don't know I don't recall. I know she told me back then what it was that she had put it on. But it's amazing. Okay, so Kay, I call her Kim K. I know I see you, Kim K. She says, "Can it help me sleep?" Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yes. We have several different sleep settings. We do cover hour by hour on the newest wave watches, the 2.0 and the 2.2, we have 11 hours of sleep frequency. So we've really actually developed that a little bit more. So you actually just touch the button according to the time that you're going to bed, and make sure that, the double arrows are set. You may not understand that until you have it in your hand, but then it will go from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock and to 12 o'clock, and just goes through every hour. And that changes because we have different hormones that come into play. Our like between 9 and 10, our thyroid, it's going to be working on your thyroid. There you go. If you play it then. Between 1 and 3, it has frequencies for your liver. At 11 o'clock, it has frequencies for your gallbladder. So every hour has different frequencies. So all night long, it's working on your body according to the Chinese body clock. It also works on the vagus nerve. So we have built in all different kinds of frequencies. There's some frequencies for pain, because of course, if you're in pain, you're not going to sleep well. So those are coded in at different times during the night, and during the hours. And so you can play it. There's 11 different hours that you can play it on. Plus, there is another set that's in a different folder, and it is specifically for different sleeping problems, like breathing problems, and I'm trying to think of some of the other wording, but different ideas specifically about sleep.
That's good. All right. Now, you talked about the arrows. So, okay. So my funny story, I always have the funny story, and I always say there's no shame in my game. So I was trying to remember today what the frequency was, or what the word was that I was looking up. I think it was congestion. I think I was looking up congestion, and it was really under something else. And so but I had looked for congestion and it wasn't there. And I looked down and there was constipation. Now, y'all, I just thought, oh, whatever, that'll always help. And I'm thinking it's on the double arrows, meaning that it's going to go through the whole folder. It's going to, hundreds of, it's going to keep going. So a few hours later, we've gone out to eat, and my tummy is growling, and I'm like, what is going on? My tummy, I feel like I might have potty problems soon. And I'm like, what in the world? I don't really have that. My husband does when he goes and eats Mexican. And then it hits me a little bit later that night. Wait a minute. And I look, and it is stuck on looping for constipation. And so all I can say is it works. And so it helps for that too, y'all. Okay.
So people have asked me if there's any negative effects of the Wave Watch, and I'm going, well, Michelle had one. Trying to say it very carefully, but normally we do not have side effects. Now, I had that little stabbing effect. Some people will feel something. A fabulous testimony recently. We were at a convention, and a lady came up that, I think you can see my hand. She had essential tremors like this. She hadn't been able to hold a cup of water for 3.5 years. Basically, they were so bad. And we put the Wave Watch on her for inflammation, pain, and trauma, the Wave Relief set. And she immediately felt energy. She felt something go up through her finger and underneath the watch and up to not quite her shoulder, but somewhere in this area. And in 3 minutes, her tremors were gone. Now, I can't make a story like that. I have her testimony. I have the video. They were gone, and she felt something, but it wasn't a pain, so usually if you feel something, even a little tick or a flick or something, it's changing something. So,
wow. Well, I told you, I felt something 6 minutes and 15 seconds in.
Yeah.
I felt stress, and that's the best way I know how to explain it. Is just, it felt like stress just pull forward and leave my body. It was amazing. Okay, well, talking about video testimonials, we've got a couple for you. So this one is a lady talking about chronic back pain. Let's take a look. Let's listen to this one.
Had chronic back pain for my entire life, and then after my son was born, the joint pain migrated to my neck and my elbows and my hands and my feet, my knees, and everywhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty much all over. And I just wore this watch for about 20 minutes, and I feel better than I have in years, which
Oh, wow.
is completely true. Like, I can feel Like I can move better than I have in a very long time.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's an amazing testimony. When you have pain like that, and she's talking about it, saying that feels better than she has in a long time. That's a big impact.
Yeah.
That's big. That's tangible. That's very tangible. I'm in that phase right now where I'm wanting like tangible results with things. And so it's just so good. All right, let's listen to the tooth pain testimonial.
Hello from Denmark. I just love this Weight Watch. When I got it, I have some tooth I have to pull out, and I have so much pain. And about 2 hours, it was gone. The pain was gone. This week, my fiance also has some tooth to pull out, so she borrowed it, and it was gone, all the pain. And I'm just loving it, because it was from heaven. My daughter has a lot of issues psychologically, but she tried the brain frequencies, and it was all gone. She could stand up and walk. She has been in bed for 2 years, and she has a lot of people to help her to get her to a bathroom and all the things. And after 2 sessions with a watch, she could stand up, and we walked around 1 kilometer. She said, "Dad, I need a watch."
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I cry a lot. I
know.
You can't help it. She was in bed for 2 years.
It's amazing.
A child,
Yeah. It's just, all I can say is just God is so good. However the miracles happen, and it's just amazing. Tracy is asking, where is the Wave Watch sold? WaveWatch.com. You can go to WaveWatch.com/Michelle Moore and get 25% off if you decide to do the 2.0 lavender watch, or if you want to do a pre-order for 2.2, and then also get 15% off site-wide as well. Today is Cyber Monday, and so it's just crazy. Okay, so Galen is saying that she says that she has a very small wrist, like a child size. Is there a Wave Watch that will fit you? Yes, Galen, I'm the same way. I wear a 4.5 size ring. You can see how small, but it fits great. And I still have a couple of more holes on the wrist even. That was one of the things that had been an issue early on with the 1.0 was some of the women with such small wrists. And when they changed the wristbands to this gray, that fixed that amazingly. It was really good. I love the new wristbands. Okay, so let's see here. 2Blah1 says, my son was very sick a while back, and it took a long time for them to diagnose him. Would it help him? I'm not sure if I'm seeing what he was diagnosed with. So 2Blah1, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific, sweetie. If you will, I'll keep a lookout for your response, okay? And then Christ Believer says that she puts her watch on calm and it helps her sleep. That's great. Yeah, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Okay, the next one, Crypto Cookie says, does the Wave Watch work on its own for parasites, or do you still need cleanse with supplements and or antiparasitics?
I do not think so. I've kind of done my own experiment. It's not a double-blind study. It's not a medical, but, I worked with 100 clients on a testing system that I had, and 42 out of 100 clients had parasites as the worst thing. And so I taught them to muscle test and to pick out a supplement, an herbal that for 15 years before that, they would have taken for 3 to 4 months, And then we were experimenting. We put the Wave Watch on for 30 minutes for parasites. Then we took it off. We retested on the supplements that their body had wanted 30 minutes earlier, and they did not want them. So that was a really big clue right there. Then I retested on the same machine, and it didn't pick up parasites. Now that happened 42 times. That was just blowing me away. And so people were so enthusiastic to help me. They came back, and somebody came back in a week and 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, and 3 months. And they still did not seem to have parasites, where previously my machine would never have picked up something like that. So, that 16 years of experience or whatever that I'd had on that machine was really helpful to say, hey, I think this is doing something for parasites. And then one person who was in that group actually sent me a picture of a parasite that she had, her body had cleaned out. Yes, she'd long type bite in 6 hours. So it seems like you do not. Now, the last key that I haven't talked to you about, when you're doing the wave detox, the third one that we hadn't got to yet was heavy metals. And the reason you want to do that is in conjunction. Parasites kind of nest with heavy metals. They connect, you know, and so when you kill those parasites off, you've got to be making sure that you're getting the heavy metals out. So that is why I suggest that you run all of these together. You know, the first wave, run every single one of them so that you're cleaning out all the things that are interrelated at the same time.
Yeah,
so
the way
together.
The way it was explained to me was that when you do a detox, the parasites will hide behind the metals. And that's why it's important that you make sure that you're doing some kind of a metals detox. And obviously, if Linda, so this is what, from my learning and what I've been taught, and I've had the pleasure of speaking to some people that are really heavy and big into this, including the Worm Queen, Kim Rogers. What I have learned from speaking to them and listening to other videos and things is that it's best to start with a metals detox. That's why when we had Kim on, that was why I said I wanted to have her on, was because her program included that. So if you're going to use the Wave Watch for this, then what I would recommend personally is I would say a couple of days of doing just the metals detoxing, and then incorporate all of it and do it all at the same time after that. But I would first focus on the metals part personally. That's what I'm going to do. You know, I haven't run it that way. I completely forgot about it on the Wave Watch. So,
but that's a good idea, and it hasn't hurt anybody. You know, if they do it the other way, it's, you know, it's not going to be a problem.
I think it just might be more effective if you focus first on the metals. And so, but then again, I don't know if because of the Wave Watch, I mean, because of the frequency aspect of it, it might not matter. Yeah. You know, I don't know. And so, but I would rather focus on the metals part of it. So I'm going to be doing that tonight. And so now that I think about it, because I completely forgot that you have the metals one.
And then, Michelle, this is a perfect time to tell your testimony about your foot bath.
Yes. So my ion foot baths. That's right. I forgot about that. That's right. Yes. And so I'd been taking ion foot baths before I met Linda for years. And many people know Nathan, my iridologist. He's been here on the show a few times. And so he, I'd been doing the ion foot baths and at the place where I see Nathan. And they always are just, they look terrible. But like sludgy is the big thing. They can look and always looked very sludgy. And so just thick and fibrous looking. And so Linda, I do the detoxing at night, and I'm running my folders that I've created. Now this is on the 1.0 still. And I guess I've been doing the detoxing 3 times a week for about 3 months, 2 or 3 months. Oh, okay. I've been very consistent with it. Maybe, I don't think it was 3 months. I think it was more like 2 months, but I'd been very consistent with it. And at the time, very consistent. And so I go just, unrelated. I happen to go and do a ion foot bath, and the ion foot bath looks like it's just colored water. It looks like it is Kool-Aid or something. It still had some color to it, but it was not as, it had no sludge stuff in it. And so I could tell that the Wave Watch, I couldn't even believe it. And the only thing different was the Wave Watch. So there was no way that it was really anything else. And all these years, I'd always had that sludgy looking stuff. And then all of a sudden, it just looked like Kool-Aid. It was very clear and not near as bad as what I had always had, always. And so I was just shocked and had shared that with Linda back then. And I completely forgot about that. That's right, Linda. And
So that
so,
kind of shows you that it is detoxing in some manner, not like the,
yes,
the ion foot bath, but it's doing its own job of detoxification. And I've had
yes.
a couple more people give me a similar testimony on their foot baths that have really cleaned up. It's like, how's that possible? The Wave Watch is doing it in a different way.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's see. So I'm not older, just older too says, how did you figure out what frequencies worked for what? And how did you get the actual frequencies?
Okay, you may have missed this at the beginning of it, but these frequencies were really measured over 100 years ago. They have been in our repertoire. There's books, if you want to do the work, with frequencies. So mostly it was by Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, but Tesla also measured some, and there were a couple other people. And now there's about 6 different major companies, I guess you might say, that have measured, Hulda Clark is one that's measured frequencies and is known for that. And so you can find frequencies. And I just decided to put them on a watch and make a completely different way, because the other tools were large. You almost had to have a PhD to use them. They cost $18,000. You have to sit there with plugs, just brass bars in your hand. And some of them you have to put your feet on a metal plate and you're sitting there at your computer all the time, And so I just wanted a completely different way. I use technology that's been around for 100 years. So I didn't, did I reinvent the wheel? Is that the way to say it? I don't know. I used technology that was already there that we had been not using. And another idea, which is so important, is that we know about frequencies. We know that music, when we hum something, or hear it, we can move to the music, and that's all we do with it. We don't use it for anything. We also know that an opera singer can sing a high note and break a glass. Well, why haven't we used that? You know what that is? That idea was mentioned by Tesla. It was named the mortal oscillation rate. And he said, when you got the right measurement for like a virus, and you sent you sent the same frequency in, and these 2 frequencies from different objects, if they were the same frequency, they would meet, and then they would self-resonate and fall apart or blow up or kill each other or whatever. So he's named it the mortal oscillation rate. It's the resonant, it's the same frequency. So the Wave Watch has a library of resonant frequencies. So they can adapt, they can realign, meet. But Tesla's figuring, again, was the mortal oscillation rate. So we had the mortal oscillation rate for COVID.
Yeah, it's on the watch.
During that time period.
Yes.
So you could have tried that if that was of interest to you. So other things that we have the frequency for is nicotine. If you're interested in that, we have frequencies for the spike protein, for biofilms, for, a lot of different ideas along those lines for detoxification of your jabs. What words can I say here? But we have frequencies for those, and you can look those up in the frequency finder.
Don't be getting me in trouble again on YouTube, Linda.
Jab, okay.
I call it the shot. Okay, so Freya says, hi, Michelle. Hi, Linda. My wife, myself, and a number of my relatives and friends love our Wave Watch. Linda, I'm wondering if you are doing anything to have part or all of the cost covered by insurance or Medicare.
We are trying to work on that. Right now, you can make payments on it. There is a plan for payments. And then your HSA and FSAs are, you can use those.
Yeah,
and
which right now is a great time to use them all.
I think it's about a 30% discount if you have those. Yes. And then seriously, we have been talking to somebody about making these tools a billable tool. Now, I don't know exactly what that means. That's a completely different idea, but that would be help with, like you're asking, Medicare, Medicaid, I believe.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Wow. Okay. Wow. It just so much has happened and y'all have come so far. Okay. So Kim K says, do you have to wear it or can you be near it?
Yes, you can be near it. You don't have to wear it. And we don't have any feedback if it works better one way or the other. But if you are wearing it, you are using your skin and your bones to make it move through your body. If it's not on you, then you're using your ears, and it's going through your ears and being used in a different manner. Now, to me, that was important because I can't hear anything hardly, and I wanted the best of the frequency. So I want to wear mine, so my dog can hear fine, so we set his on or hers on her kennel and she can hear it just fine. Now, my favorite story, and I know I've told this before, but I had a gentleman call and he had ordered a wave watch for his wife with Parkinson's. And then you could tell he got all embarrassed. He's trying to figure out, what to say next. And finally, he just blurts out and he says, "We sleep really close together." And I'm on the phone going, okay. And then he blurts out again and he said, "And I could feel her frequencies when she had the wave watch on." And I got up the next morning, he continues, and he said, "My feet didn't hurt." Well, of course I say, "Oh, that's really neat." And he goes, "No, you don't understand. They've hurt for 15 years. I've been on medications for 15 years. So I call this my favorite Valentine's story. They evidently snuggled for a couple more weeks and he was off his medication.
Well, there you go.
They may have ordered another one. I don't know, but it's a fun Valentine's story.
Yes. So I want to understand this though. So Linda,
touching somebody.
Okay, but so Linda, I want to go back though, because I want to make sure I understand this. So when you say that it's not on you and they just need to hear it, then the volume does need to be up so that you can audibly hear it?
If they are using it that way, I would think that it would work better. Definitely, yes.
Okay. Now I want to make that clear so that, because there's probably somebody watching that doesn't realize this. So the watch, it works when you have it on and you don't hear it. It's still working. You don't have to have the volume up to where you're hearing it work and play that frequency. You don't have to have that. And so I want to make sure people realize that. So what she's saying though is that if you're not wearing it, it's just near you, then you need to have it up enough to hear it.
Yeah. So when you have the watch on, you'll be able to hear it. And then when you strap it down close to your wrist, the sound is absorbed into your body. And so once in a while, somebody will have a loose watch and they'll move their hand and you can hear the watch a little bit because it's making a sound. Now it has to make a sound. If you turn the volume off, it's not doing you any good at all. You've wasted your time. So it has to be on a sound so that we have a vibration and a sound.
Okay, lady says, I just tried to buy the 2.0 lavender wave watch. It's only giving me 15%. So
you get the other percent when you go ahead and finish the checkout, I believe they said.
Okay, there you go. All right, Galen, let us know if you have any other trouble, honey.
Two different discounts that are adding up.
Yeah, got to finish. She says discount not 25% under Michelle 100. So yeah, try finishing out that checkout process and then you should be good, honey. If not, let us know. Okay, so yes. Okay, wow, so much to cover. It's just amazing. Okay, so when are you expecting the wave watches? If somebody pre-orders today, when are you expecting those to be in?
Well, we thought we had plenty stocked up, but we sold them all out in 10 days. So, so that's all good, but it's all, it's kind of sad too. So our next group will be coming about the end of December, So it will be a whole, if you order today, it could be a whole month before the 2.2s are back in stock again.
Okay. But today, if you're pre-ordering, it is for the 2.2. And then if you are ordering the lavender, that one would get shipped out to you right away. And that's a 2.0 and not the 2.2, but it's a 2.0. And you get 25% off with Michelle 100. If you have any trouble, you can always email. If you go to checkout and Michelle 100 didn't give you 25% off, then you can always, let Wave Watch know.
The button. We've set it up pretty quickly today.
Yeah. And so, because they sold out of them. Okay. So great. Okay. Will you tell the story of the lady who had sat on her couch crying and I don't remember the details to that, but share that testimony where the lady came to see you and she hadn't really left her house in years. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. She just called or just texted me today
Oh,
And
she
she could not move around. She was pretty much bedridden. She had 2 full-time caretakers, and they told her that she had, oh, I hope I say this right. I'm not sure if it was fibromyalgia or MS, and she was completely bedridden. And she put the Wave Watch on, and within a couple of hours, she was out of pain. And then in about 6 weeks, she was completely mobile, and she went grocery shopping for the first time in years. So all she played was emotions. And that kind of takes us to the next thing that we should say is that every emotion can be connected to a disease. So once you finish that first wave folder, start playing some emotions. That's a really good thing to do because emotions are connected with our diseases. So she said she just sat around and cried and got all of that out, evidently, and her MS, or if I'm saying the right one, fibromyalgia symptoms went completely away, and she was able to move. And she no longer has, full-time care.
That's amazing.
She's been to my house. She's driven to my office. So
it's awesome.
Wonderful.
Hospitality State says, can it help with perimenopause?
It has with some people. Now, I can't say that everything helps for, 100% for everybody,
right.
But definitely we do have some testimonies on that, and menopause and, yes, hot flashes in the middle of the night, all of those kind of things.
Avery R says, do we wear it 24 hours or a few hours a day?
Choices. Some people just wear it. It's on their wrist. They might not be using it, except it's on their wrist. So then if they drive somewhere and they got a headache, they have it on their wrist. But some people do try to use it, most of the time. And the only time that it's off is when they're recharging it. Now, to me, this makes sense because, again, we're surrounded by frequencies all day long. Remember that vague picture I was showing you of the look of the frequencies? They're just all around us. They're circling. So even at night when you're in bed, you're getting all kinds of frequencies. So you can be very direct and put frequencies that your body needs, in, it seems like, for a long period of time. But there isn't a right or wrong. I'm sorry, these frequencies, can you believe it, are still considered experimental after all of this time of knowing that we were spoken into existence, but we still don't have the statistics on what different frequencies will do. So it does not seem to be harmful to you in any way. And another question I have a lot of times is, can a pregnant woman wear it, or can somebody with a pacemaker wear it? And I like to have fun with this and say, well, does your doctor tell you that you can't hear anybody speak or you can't listen to music? Well, no. Well, then the Wave Watch is perfectly safe because that's what it is, a different form of music. It just sounds like a bee buzz, and there's 1,100 different bee buzzes. Each one of them is a little bit different.
All right. The next one, DG1934, says, I was very sick last winter and had the flu, and says, double pneumonia and sepsis. They had me high doses of prednisone. I had thick hair and my hair started falling out. Does this help with hair growth?
We definitely have folders for healthy hair. Yes. And we've had many testimonies on those.
Yes. And then also check out Samson's Mane Hair Restore. I think that on godlygranny.com.
Oh, yeah.
And then Patricia's asking over on YouTube, does it help with sleep apnea?
Yes, that was one of the things I was trying to think of when I said we had a different folder for in the self-care folder is labeled sleep, and that's sleep apnea and other forms of problems with sleep.
Okay, that's wonderful.
And many testimonies on that.
We've had some great questions today. Yes. So that's awesome. I think we've gotten them all. Let's see. Yep, we got them all. Okay, so we appreciate you being here. I want to remind everybody, it's if you're interested in taking advantage of the Lavender Limited Edition 2.0 watch and getting 25% off, or pre-ordering the 2.2 edition of the Wave Watch, you can go to wavewatch.com/Michelle Moore. It's like on the bottom of the screen here for you. You use the discount code Michelle, which has 2 L's, 100, no spaces, at checkout for 25% off for the Lavender Edition, the limited edition 2.0. or you can, and also, by the way, you get 15% off site wide. And then also you can get 15% off of the pre-order of the 2.2. And I want to remind you that Linda says that that's expected around the end of the month, which would be the end of December. It's already December 1st. We only have a month left. It's crazy.
It's going fast, isn't it?
Now the 2.0 lavender is already in stock, so it would come. You get 25% off, and you would get it right away.
Yes.
So okay, Linda, thank you so much for being with us today. It's always
Thanks
great
for having
to see
me.
you.
It was fun.
Yeah, of course. It's always fun. All right. Thanks, sweetie. All right. Always so good. So wavewatch.com/Michelle Moore. Okay. 2 quick things. So did you see over the weekend? Now we had a long weekend. Did you see over the weekend where President Trump was talking about no income taxes? I thought that was interesting. I've been waiting. We'll see what happens. And then also, I wanted to tell you, have you seen this about Minnesota? Okay, so Minnesota government workers are blaming the governor, Walz, who is a loon, in my opinion. He at least acts completely loony. So blames him amid allegations against Somali community. This is crazy. So more than 400 current staff members say that the governor systematically retaliated, their words, systematically retaliated against whistleblowers. Can you imagine? So you're working for the government, the U.S. government, okay, or the state of Minnesota, and you're sitting here, you're finding fraud, and what's happening? You're reporting it, and then the governor is retaliating against you. Can you believe this stuff? I mean, this is interesting. I'm wondering, though, when I look at this, and I've been thinking about it today, and it's like, okay, obviously he's part of a deep state operation. President Trump even had a Truth Social post right before we went live, and I grabbed it. So, and he's totally, trolling. But the Somali state of Minnesota, this lady writes, Minnesota is being systematically transformed. Its people replaced, its cities turned into foreign enclaves, its future rewritten by mass migration and soaring immigration birth rates, all by design. I guess then once they come here, even if they're here illegally, if they have a baby, because she's saying, the immigrant birth rates, well, that would be high. If anything, just because of the fact that they're going to want to have an anchor baby is what I'm thinking, unless there's something that I don't know about. 130,000 new arrivals last year. In a year, 130,000. That's crazy. Remember, too, these people don't assimilate. Remember, I was talking about that last week. Tens of thousands from Somalia, Ethiopia, and Mexico. Migrant birth rates are soaring while native Minnesotians flee. Could you imagine living in Minnesota and this stuff's going on? Then also you've got crime, welfare abuse, and the Islamic influence exploding. Minneapolis already holds the largest Somali population in the United States, which is a hub for Sharia push and radical recruitment. This is crazy. Like, this is colonization if I've ever seen it. Like, this is absolute insanity. But President Trump retweets it and says, welcome to Minnesota. Great job, Governor Walz. He's trolling it, and I think it's great. And then, of course, he's talking about shutting down the ability for people to come here from out of the country right now, that all of the immigration needs to be set up and caught up. And so on Thanksgiving evening, he came out. I think Americans got a Thanksgiving surprise, a present. And he's saying, hey, we're going to stop immigration for a minute here. And we're going to let the immigration people, the departments for the United States catch up. And so I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it needs to be done. And I think, like I said, it was a gift on Thanksgiving for them to be able, for him to announce that, and for us to be able to see that the borders need to be shut down for a minute. We hear how long it takes for people to be able to even, that get here illegally, that even go before a judge. And then, of course, they don't even show up a year later because it takes a year. And so it's complete insanity, and people need the system needs to catch up. And so I think it's a brilliant idea. I think we need to say, hey, let's pause this. Let's close the gate for a minute here, unless it's swinging out occasionally when we escort people out of the country. And so I think that's a brilliant idea. Otherwise, how are we ever going to get this mess cleaned up and a system in place that can actually be manageable? And so I hope that that continues, and I hope that that really happens long term for us so that we can get this straightened out. It's got to. I think at this point, we're on life support and we need it. We absolutely need it. And so praise God for President Trump and seeing how this goes forward. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and talking about it, I'm sure, soon to come. Also, I want to remind you, oh gosh, today's Cyber Monday. We're still doing Granny or Godly Granny's birthday, sale. We're not really getting into the whole Black Friday and all that stuff, but I mean, it is Cyber Monday, and it just so happens that Godly Granny's birthday celebration is in the midst of all this. But so we're not doing all that stuff necessarily. We're just still on Godly Granny and her birthday. And so it's the biggest sale the company's ever had at 21% off if you use Michelle 21 or if you use Granny 21. Either one will work. And it goes through tomorrow night, which is Tuesday evening, December the 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. I got to tell you, I'm going to do a list. I told producer Ron I'm going to do a list, and we should send it out as an email. But I'm going to do a list, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that Godly Granny products have done for me. I told you I don't get hot flashes anymore, which is a miracle. Remember, I was just saying earlier how I got thrown into menopause early at 43. It's just been in the last year while I've been taking our magnesium product. And I hadn't even been taking all I was taking was the stress relief and putting it on my feet. And I started realizing I'm not having, in the night one, I'm not having hot flashes anymore. And then when I got to reading about all the things that magnesium does for your body, that was one of them. My left eye twitching, no more left eye twitching. That's all I can tell you is that what I'm experiencing personally, and then also sharing the testimonials that we get from you guys, which reminds me, by the way, did you know, let's just double check because I haven't seen this come through. Yeah, we're at 996 testimonials on godlygranny.com. 996. So we are 4 away, 4 from 1,000 testimonials. I just have to say that's probably been one of my biggest surprises is how selfless you guys have been to help me help other people. To go to the website and to share your testimonials and share your experiences has just been absolutely just mind-blowing for me. I'm not one to really leave a testimonial a lot of times, but this last year I have started doing that for other people just because I see what an impact it can make for other people, to help them to see how it helps someone else and maybe they have that issue. But I just want to tell you, no hot flashes, and I'm 53 years old. I should be having hot flashes, I guess. I don't have them. And it's the magnesium. It's the only thing. And so when I saw that they can help with the menopausal and all that kind of symptoms, that's when the light bulb went off. And it was like, oh my goodness, that's it. That's how I'm not having hot flashes anymore. Praise Jesus. I am so grateful for that. And then my left eye doesn't twitch anymore, which I always used to hear, oh, you need more sleep, or, oh, it's stress, or it's this, or it's that. And I heard a million different excuses. And a lot of times that didn't make sense. And so, but that's not the case. So it turns out I just needed magnesium. But anyway, so I hope that you've enjoyed today's show. Linda Bammer is amazing. Don't forget to check out about the Lavender 2.0 edition if you're interested, or 2.2 watch. And we appreciate you guys. And don't forget to keep Mark Taylor in your prayers tomorrow with Dr. Sean. And if you want to send me your health-related questions ahead of time, I can look through those, talk with him ahead of time, and see if he feels comfortable with answering any of those. And if not, we'll put them with the Dr. Margaret stack, because I got a stack for her of some more questions that we didn't even get to during the show. It was amazing. And so she is really an incredible lady. So we will definitely be having her back as well. All right. Hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you right here next time tomorrow, Tuesday, on the Michelle Moore Show.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense. but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle21 at checkout to receive 21% off your entire order.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven, and when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.